has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth. But we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
That's right, guys. Darkest Dungeon is back. A lot of you don't really remember this because when I originally played Darkest Dungeon, I had about half as many subscribers at this point. But I played the game originally back in February when it first came out. Wow. Yeah, that's about a year ago. That's a little hard to think. That's a little weird to think about. Then I played the first major update of Beasts and Frenzy or something like that back in May. So I've beaten the game twice in early access versions, but then I started realizing how many playthroughs it would take to do a playthrough every new update, so I figured let's just wait for the final version, and here it is. This is the 1.0 Darkest Dungeon update. This is the final version of the game until they update it more. Launches are a weird thing for these early access games, ever since Minecraft. But we're gonna get in this, and I'm excited. So, among other things, feel free to comment below if you want to have some character named after you at some point. I predict I'll be going through a lot of them, so having a pool of names will be handy.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling, serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient, pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path, you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
Alright, so here we go. So we're currently in a room. You click places to go places. It's straightforward enough. So this is the Eldritch Horror slash, well, yeah, Eldritch Horror more or less, permadeath, dungeon crawler, darkest dungeon. Much like XCOM, we can fully customize our squad from mission to mission, but we need to get through the prologue mission for now. So we're given a crusader and a highwayman with straightforward enough skills. Starting equipment. So the crusader has a temporary guard that marks himself as a target to make him it's sort of like a taunt, but basically just makes him a more worthy person for the enemies to attack. It's got a stun attack, a ranged AoE. Not really a ranged AoE in that case, just an AoE in general. It's just called, I guess it's called ranged. And a melee that has a bonus against undead. Our highwayman has something that can hit anyone besides the people in the front that also buffs them with bonus stats. An AoE. Reduced crit chance, huh? Okay. There's a few things. I'm pausing on these a little bit because there's a thing you're seeing and then there's a thing I'm seeing, which is that some of these things are changing from time to time. So this is pistol shot, gives you bonus damage against marked enemies. Open vein is a bleed with a little bit of reduced damage, but 100% chance of bleed. Few points per turn. All right. Let's just start moving through this.
Fiends have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path. The hamlet is just ahead. Dispatch this thug in brutal fashion, that all may hear of your arrival.
Alright, we've been surprised, so that means that our party has been rearranged, which is kind of not ideal, because this is mostly a ranged character, and that's mostly a melee character. Although melee characters usually aren't disadvantaged until they're pushed into the 3rd and 4th rank, and since we don't have a full party, so that can't really happen right now. I'm just gonna go for the attack. Rather than spend a turn rearranging myself, we can just carve away at him instead, especially since I have a stun. Ooh, this is a nice detailed screen that we did not have proper access to before. That is a much better screen for showing the enemy's stats than we had before. Does this one look better too? Oh. Tab. No. Oh, tab alternates that. Escape. No. I'll find out later. There was I don't know if I can view the character screen from here. It's not that important. So, 88% chance of hitting. His stun resistance is 25%, so I have a 75% chance of stunning him if I hit. And he resisted it. Go figure. At this point, he's weak enough that it doesn't really matter too much. But I would like to minimize all damage because you do have to worry about incoming damage. You don't just magically heal between fights, and there are gonna be a lot of fights between you and the end of the dungeon. Interactive objects. Basically, you press W or click on these things to interact with them. So this is a tent. Like most objects, there's a chance I'll find something cool if I look at it, or there's a chance that I'll find something horrible, which will increase my stress meter, and stress is not a fun thing to increase. Hey, valuables. Cool.
Leave nothing unchecked.
We got lucky.
There is much to be found in forgotten places.
So I'll try to explain things here and there, but I could be getting some things completely wrong.
The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome.
So from here, I think I want to take out their back character, just to work on them for now. Just because they're more likely to go down faster, so getting them out of the way should be handy. Guys, that guy's a 50% stun resistance right there. Let's see. So I could go for the stun, which would help remove. Let's see. It would help him not attack every turn, but without a full party, the effects are somewhat mitigated, perhaps. I'm going to go for. Let's just start with some regular attacks on this character. There we go. How much damage is that? That's a really big chunk of his health, actually. So not too much to worry about. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna team up with the Crusader. Since the Crusader is able to attack the front target, I think I should actually just focus on that rather than try to target the back guy at all. Because I'm unlikely to be able to take him down early. So it's kind of a wasted shot to go for it. There we go. So there's a chance I'll get some details wrong when I explain certain things, or I'll misinterpret something just because I have to keep an eye out for those unexpected changes to this game.
Intrinsic merit, unless inordinate exsanguination be considered a virtue.
This is actually a good example of a change that has happened since the last time I played this game. Corpses. When most monsters die, they leave corpses. Corpses act as temporary obstacles and will eventually go away on their own. You can attack corpses to destroy them faster, but often a better approach is to use ranged skills, push-pull skills, or even corpse-clearing special skills that some heroes possess. Monsters killed with bleed, blight, or crits have no corpses at all. So there's now a corpse of the enemy we defeated. And that's brand new. That was not in the game last time I played this. And he does pose a pesky little obstacle, doesn't he? Let's see if I can take him out. Nope, that's actually frustratingly little damage. At least the corpse is still bleeding, I guess. But it does open us up to continuous attacks from the background character here. Which is not ideal. I could keep stacking the bleed. Nope, doesn't matter at that point, he's down. And now this guy can't do those nasty attacks anymore. Can I stop him from getting... Yep, there we go. He's stunned, so he won't get a turn next. That's one less attack coming our way. And now he's down. Of course, one of my mistakes is between the two fights I should have rearranged my party. Which is a thing I have a tendency to fuck up on a regular basis, actually. Let's hope I can rise above that one. After you complete the requirements of a quest, you can return to town, click the crest. Return to Hamlet, continue adventure. Oh, that's a whole screen that wasn't here before. Continue adventuring. There's a chest right here, excuse me. Oh. Well, that wasn't too bad. It was trapped, so it tried to poison me or disease me, but we resisted it, so it wasn't such a big deal. Gotta remember, is there a... there we go. Which button was that? C. C is our character screen. So, right now we have this character. He has 15% stun chance, bonus of 15% resistance to stun. That's the little yellow highlight over here. That's handy for making him not miss turns. 2 speed, and speed is what affects what turn order what turn people get, what order people get turns in. My bad. And apparently he's known for cheating. So unless I get that cured, he's not allowed to gamble in town. Gambling being one of many ways you can restore your sanity or your stress. So Reynald here, the name's temporary, I'm planning on swapping that out pretty soon. They get a bonus damage at high torch, which is this meter up here. This basically goes down while we're traveling around, this will go down, and certain skills can make it go up or down, but mostly you use torches to raise this meter. The higher the torch level, the safer your party generally is. And the lower the torch level, the tougher enemies can get, the more crit heavy everyone gets, including your characters, and the more stress everyone gets, which can be rough. Because when you get stress maxed out, I should look up whether or not anything's changed or not, but originally, the first time around when you get stressed out all the way, you basically have a crazy positive or negative moment happen where either your character totally comes through and you're totally set, or something really negative happens where maybe they start handicapping your entire party and you can't do anything about it. And I think they added a patch after I stopped playing where if you maxed out the meter a second time, you would then have a heart attack. I noticed the meter now says 200%. That might mean that 100 is the original thing and 200 is now the heart attack, but I could be wrong about that. I'm sure I'll learn soon enough whether I want to or not. Alright, first completed quest. We got just over 6,000 gold and 1 portrait. Those are required for upgrading the base, so they're worthwhile. And both of my characters became level 1. Last gasp. But you get +1 speed if hit points are low. That's interesting. So it means that his turns will happen sooner in the rotation when he's closer to dying. And any positives are good for me. So resolve level's good. Well, double-edged sword a little bit. Basically, it gives you access to various upgrades based on what you have at your base, and it also the higher your stress, the higher your resolve level is, the less likely you are to be stressed out by certain situations. So if you take low-level characters, low-resolve characters into high-level dungeons, they're more likely to be completely handicapped by stress and wiped out, more likely. They'll also be weaker, so there's a lot of reasons why it's a problem.
Welcome home, such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now, and you are bound to them.
Now we have this huge thing you're looking at here. Yeah, these are all levels and stuff, but this thing right here is just a huge list of our goals as we progress through this game. You take one trip into the basic ruins, but then you just fight a whole bunch of bosses. Most bosses, from what I've seen originally in the game, have 3 ranks basically. You fight one, I believe, there's like a level 1 boss, a level 3 boss, a level 5 boss. I could be off by 1 level for all 3 of those or something. And there's basically, originally there was 2 bosses per each of the dungeons, which you fight 3 times each, and there was 3 dungeons. But they've added 2 more, so I have never encountered the Cove yet, and I don't know what the Darkest Dungeon is, aside from the fact that it's got to be the final boss fight. Yep, succeed in your first, second, third, and final Darkest Dungeon quest. So something is different about the construction of the Darkest Dungeon compared to the structure of the way the other bases are handled. I assume the 4 existing bases are all done back to back. You can all do them in parallel probably, and the Darkest Dungeon is probably what you try to take out when you have a fully formed party. Get help where you may. On any screen, press H to get help. Okay, fine. So, Stagecoach.
Women and men, soldiers and outlaws, fools and corpses. All will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
So this is where you get new crew members. Right now, right off the bat, we have a Vestal as an option. I'm going to go ahead and grab you. Boop.
A sister of battle, pious and unrelenting.
So you can upgrade this thing with these. Oh, we actually have some of these resources actually. So use deeds and crests in this case. We actually have enough to do this if we want to. So 1 will increase the number of available heroes, because you saw there was 2 here. I can increase it to 3 and so on. Basically, every time I come to the Stagecoach between missions, there's just going to be a randomized series of heroes that you can use. And the barracks increases the size of your roster, because right now I can only recruit 9 heroes, and you can keep increasing it incrementally. I believe it's 12, 15, 18, 21, 24? Probably? Assuming it continues to increase incrementally. But those will require increasing numbers of resources. Ancestors' memories.
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
So this is just all the cutscenes and dialogues and audio logs throughout the game. Nomad Wagon. Can I even click on this one? Nope, cannot click on that one yet. So so a lot of these places are still locked at this beginning of the game. And it's very likely this game will start out being very tough. Partly because you have so few resources at your disposal, so few items, only a few heroes available to you, so it kind of creates a mess. In fact, just to even out the party, I'm going to want to grab that other character just for the sake of it.
What better laboratory than the blood-soaked battlefield?
Alright, so now we have a Plague Doctor. We'll get into what those classes are later.
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
Here you go. If I ever name a character after you, there's a decent chance your name will be added to this list eventually. Oh, I just realized it actually says Season 3 in the corner. That's what I named the save, because this is my 3rd playthrough on this channel. Alright, so I just took a quick moment to customize some characters based on some of my more loyal followers, basically. These are just the people that watch the most of my videos, more or less. So we have Miller the Crusader, Shadow Scythe the Highwayman, Ballard, as in Ballad Boxer the Vestal, and Ulf from Christian Ulf, the Plague Doctor. Let's get a quick view at the new character skills, since these are usually random, so we want to get an idea of what tools they have. So these 2 casters are more background characters, even more so than the Highwayman is really. So he has Plague Grenade, gives Blight to the back row, and then Blinding Gas stuns the back row. So these are handy because they both target the group of people that are likely to be out of range of the Crusader, for example. And the corpses cause you enough. The corpses getting in the way make it reasonable to want to focus on these kinds of abilities. Then he has a melee bleed if he needs to, just like Shadow Scythe does. And then Disorienting Blast is an ability that will clear all corpses. So if I want to get rid of corpses, that's a good tool for me. It also, let's see, whoever it targets will apparently get stunned, and it'll change their location in the party by 1. So it'll shuffle the party around, clear the corpses, and stun somebody. So while it does 0 damage, it definitely has its utilities. The Vestals are relatively straightforward in that they're healers. What's Thin Blood over here? Reduced blight resistance. Hey, reduce stress in the wield. That's always handy. So they start off with a single target heal and a sort of melee range attack. Let's see. Yeah. It has a bonus against undead. Not a skill I'm likely to use very often. Dazzling Light actually stuns an opponent and gives you extra torch. And Judgment is also a ranged attack, but it heals you when you use it. I usually like to have Divine Grace for the sake of healing an allied target, and I like to have Divine Comfort because it heals the entire party. But we'll have to unlock the ability to buy that in the first place. That'll be up here. But I have to do a quest to unlock that one. So since we're given the ability to, I'm going to go ahead and increase the Stagecoach network. We have enough to increase it exactly once, and then that's all we get. But now there'll be 3 heroes, so when we come back here, they're still randomly selected, but we'll probably have a better group to pick from. But we're pretty railroaded in now, so let's just start the next mission.
A mecca of madness and morbidity. Your work begins.
Oh, look at that. I can actually click on it. We are the Flame, so this is the final dungeon up here. The creature's power waxes terrible. Recover the protective relics from the long-abandoned base camp, but beware of the shuffling horror. So your goal is to kill a shuffling horror at level 6. That's interesting. Alright, so there's finally level 6 content, which is the level cap, at least last time I played. But all the content stopped at like level 5. But here's our first mandatory mission. In fact, these 2 characters those classes may even be a mandatory chosen group. Let's rearrange you, actually. There we go. Whoa, did that change it? Weird, it went from, that's the red hook, and that's the usual suspects. Apparently I did not realize that the order that they're in affects the name of the group. Okay. So, our goal is just to explore, and not be dead at the end, hopefully.
The cost of preparedness, measured now in gold, later in blood.
So they recommend to bring 8 food and 4 torches. You take different supplies from time to time, and a lot of these things can be used for curative reasons, or can be used for more obscurely for a lot of environmental interactions that can actually help you out in a pinch. But let's just get the basics set up. Probably not that many shovels. I like to bring shovels along. I guess it's a short one, so we only really need 1. But if you bring shovels along, you can clear obstructions, and that's often worth doing. I'll grab some keys for the sake of chests. I'll avoid over-investing in supplies for our first run. Alright, time for our first real run. So our goal is to explore as many of these rooms as possible, and we only need 90%, so I could potentially, say, circumvent this room and just go right across and just end there, for example. Usually 1 unexplored room is fine, but ideally I'd explore all of them because we need every bit of supplies we can get to increase our riches and upgrade our base and so on. This beginning part is actually kind of the scariest part of the game because everyone's super underpowered and there's very few tricks that I have to fix anything if we ever get in trouble, basically. And this is where everyone's vulnerable enough to potentially die very abruptly. So it's the younger our heroes are, the more likely they are to just straight out get wiped out early on. So, Grapeshot Blast. Estimated damage 3 to 5, 80% chance to hit. Seems like a reasonable use of an AoE. Oh.
Terrible assault cannot be left unanswered.
That's not a good start for us. Literally the first incoming attack is it's immediately a critical. Criticals are bad when they come towards you, at least. Let's see. They're not going to bleed, so might as well try to use Noxious Blast. There we go. So he's not going to get a turn, making this a little bit easier. Zealous Accusation's also an AoE. They're down.
As the enemy crumbles.
Alright, 2 enemies down just like that.
Foolish horrors. Brought low and driven into the mud.
So we got 2 deeds. That's one of the upgrade items we need for the base, so that's good news to get this early on. Eventually my... oh, here we go. This is why I brought shovels along.
The cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
If I didn't bring shovels, we would spend a long time trying to get past that rebel by hand, which increases stress. Oh, there we go. We've been rearranged by surprise. Ambushes are not great news. Let's see. Melee attack... ooh, wow. Melee attack has the opportunity to be surprisingly strong against these enemies. Especially this guy. There's a decent chance of one-shotting this guy. I'm wondering if I should go for that, or try to rearrange. Spending the extra turn rearranging may not be worth it. But the Grapeshot's pretty strong, so let's go ahead and go for that. So getting rearranged by a surprise like this can be really problematic because of the part that it rearranges your party in an awkward way, and can cause some problems. 4 to 8 damage, damn. The healer can actually do damage at this point in the game. I'm not used to that concept, actually. I wonder if they buff that attack or not, or if it's just more powerful at this level, at this scale. So what I can do here is I can use Blight on the opponent here. It'll only do 1 damage, but it'll do 4 points per round for 3 rounds, so it'll do 12 points of plague damage, which is a decent amount of plague damage, as opposed to doing blind, which would also be a way of just... that'd be a way of just disorienting them. No, that's disorient. There we go. Let's go for disorienting blast. They're going to use nasty, stressful incantations. I can just stop them from taking an action. They're really wailing on me, huh? Alright, I'm going to need to recover that soon. Oh, we've missed. But yeah, you don't want crits coming at your party because that means that they're going to continually increase the stress of your party. And once one person maxes out on stress, you're increasing the chance that a lot of other people are going to start maxing out in stress, and it's just going to be all around bad news for people. Let's try to pick up our Crusader as he's taking all this damage. There we go. Finally, Shadow Scythe's turn to attack. A little bit of delayed gratification, but now he gets to do a full AoE part attack. Unfortunately, this annoying Acolyte back here is kind of hard to hit.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
That's interesting. Now you can highlight people's portraits. You can highlight their characters to actually get a list of the skills they have. Interesting. That's actually was not there before either. You more or less had to memorize them all. We get their exact speeds, their dodge chances. There's a lot of detailed information there that was not originally available. So, this corpse has 7 hit points. I could do Zealous Accusation to try to attack both. Why not? There we go. One corpse out of the way. Now this Acolyte is in the range of everybody in the party. I might as well just keep trying to stun her. Oh, she resisted it. Right, she has a... because she was recently stunned, she has a resistance bonus against future stuns for about a turn or so. That was the little arrow down there that I briefly caught a glimpse of. They threw Shadow Scythe to the back of the group, and Shadow Scythe has... these yellow dots are where you can use the skill from, and the red dots are where your opponent needs to be located. So I have 2 attacks that can be used from the back row, but they can't target the front row of the enemy, so basically I functionally have no moves. So I need to spend the turn rearranging myself again, if I'm going to do anything. I'm going to go ahead and keep healing. I could attack the enemy with that turn, but it makes sense to go for the heal, just because the, there we go. At this point, prolonging the fight a little bit doesn't necessarily hurt. Oh, and she's down. Because you can use heals from the vessel and so on during combat, but you can't use them outside of combat like you could in some Japanese RPGs, for example, where you would like cast one of your character's heals on one of your other party members while you're wandering around the open world. It's not so much a thing in this game. You have to consume food or camp to heal out of combat. Alright, we have 2 rooms to pick from. One has a relic, and one has treasure. So, I'm gonna go straight for the treasure for now. You're pretty much guaranteed to have some kind of enemy conflict when you enter such rooms. In fact, you might be literally guaranteed, come to think of it. So I'm periodically using a torch to reset increase my torch level by 25%. Alright, we have a big aggressive enemy here, but we were lucky enough not to be... We at least weren't rearranged this time. Unfortunately, the Plague Doctor has 2 nice attacks that attack the back 2 rows, but we haven't fought a full enemy party yet, so they're not as useful as you'd hope they would be. I'm gonna go for Disorienting Blast. Yeah, I can only target that one, huh? Maybe we should all focus... Let's all focus on the Cultist Brawler, actually. Since he's in range of at least 3 different characters, I'm gonna let everybody try to attack him at once. Should I just keep stacking that up? Yeah. Let's go for just taking him out. Wiping out one of the... Oh, there we go, he bled. So when you have a bleed status effect, the bleed ticks at the beginning of your turn. Any damage over time ticks at the beginning of your turn. So if you stack up some damage on an enemy and they have X amount of bleed stacked up, and it's greater than their hit points, that means the enemy's effectively a dead man walking, because when their next turn starts, they're just going to die before they get to take an action. And that's more or less what happened there, and what I was aiming for. Smite here has a bonus against undead. Oh. Not so lucky. I thought I might get to one-shot them. Making the fight last a little longer doesn't completely hurt, though, because some characters have taken some damage that I want to fix. Once again, death is permanent in this game, although it doesn't quite work the way you might think it does. So in this game, you have a Deathblow resistance chance. This character has a 67% chance. That means that when you have no hit points left, you basically are going to do a dice roll against this stat. And if you fail to resist Deathblow using this resistance, then you die. So you can survive with... You can run out of hit points and still survive, technically, but it's a hell of a gamble and not one you want to be taking part in. Grapeshot. There we go. As hoped, the AoE took out one of the remaining enemies. And now we're just going to stack up some nasty damage. So this person's now bleeding 1 per turn. So she bled at the beginning of her turn. Feels good to be back in this game. It's sort of coming back to me now. I was worried that I would launch this game and just have no memory of what the hell's going on in front of me. Okay. 4 hit points means there's no reason to stun, so let's just use a smite. Yeah, guaranteed kill if it hits. And it hit. There we go. Agility Whistle. That's our first... Oh, it's a Hound Master item. I'm excited, though. Haven't gotten to play Hound Master yet. That's one of the classes they added after I originally played this game, and it looks like a cool class. So this will give you stat bonuses. Pretty much every item gives you good and bad things. So this one will give you a 4% dodge chance addition and +1 to your speed, which is initiative, basically. But you are more likely to be debuffed. And we have some resources. Alright, let's check this treasure out. Use our key. The key unlocked a hidden compartment. So you can use keys on some items that that are already unlocked, and using the key will actually lead to a situation where you unlock secrets more or less. It's a bit... The torch is fading, is what they're saying here. So let's just summarize that. So right now it's shadowy, 49%. There's somewhat increased stress, enemies are more accurate and more damaging, we're more likely to be surprised, which means our entire party composition gets rearranged in shitty ways at the beginning of the fight, but we're more likely to get a better loot, and we can get better crits. So, it's not a crazy idea to let it run out a little bit. We have a few more, yeah, we're like halfway through the dungeon, so I'm not in a big hurry to start doing low torch, but I might reduce my torch on purpose. We've been hit by a trap. I don't think that one was a visible one. So different characters have different chances of evading traps. Alright, we are quickly running out of torch though. I get the feeling it might run out faster than it used to. So this is just an empty room. Let's go check out the relic down here, even if it means we're gonna have to backtrack. I prefer to pick paths that don't involve going backwards at all when given the opportunity.
Unsprung and thirsting for blood.
So, our Vessel already has 67% stress. So, It says out of 200, but it looks like the meter is based out of the first 100, like it always was. So, she's 2/3 of the way to having something negative happen if we get more stress, which is not great to have happen. And despite my efforts, we're actually running out of torch and entering this room at 45%. I get the feeling torches might run out faster than they used to. So Grapeshot Blast is really handy here. Enemies don't have too many hit points, and you can take out a decent chunk of the whole party's hit points right here. But let's compare that to Pistol Shot. 4 to 8. Or I can go for, yeah, Tracking Shot. Relatively low damage is what it does, but it also would give me a boost. It'll give me a buff for 12% bonus damage, accuracy, and crit. This might be a slightly longer fight, so it's not a terrible thing to open with. Definitely a handy buff, though, for, 3 rounds. Nice detailed explanation of how long it's going to last. Let's help out our front man. His role is going to be sort of a lawnmower role, as he just works his way through the front of the group with his attack that it's a bonus against undead, whichever one here is. You definitely want Crusaders for whenever you go through these instances that are full of undead enemies. This clears corpses and disorients somebody. Incision. These characters should have, 200% bleed resistance, as you'd expect from skeletons, so the bleed isn't really helpful. So my options are basically Blight, which are where's their Blight? Oh, they're vulnerable to Blight, aren't they? Interesting. Alright, why not? That's a decent damage over time to stack on somebody. 4 damage per round is actually a lot. Zealous Accusation, is this a worthwhile AoE? It cannot kill either of them, which is kind of a bummer, so I'd prefer to single target. Yeah, this single target attack is likely to kill this character. But I rolled minimum. I basically rolled one of the only numbers I could have rolled to not get the kill. Go figure. Alright. Let's go for Grapeshot this time around. It'll be an AoE just like before, but now it's guaranteed to kill one enemy while stacking damage on 2 other enemies. This character's taking 4 damage next turn, meaning that they effectively have 6 hit points, and I'll be taking out most of them. Yep, now they have 1 hit point, because that bleed's going to take out 4 at the beginning. That's fun. We have fun here. So, Incision here, 3 to 6 damage. A little pointless, huh? Let's see here. Ooh. I can use Disorienting Blast here. It'll do no damage, but it'll likely... It's a stun, right? It'll stun this opponent, and it'll get rid of this guy. Yep. Oh, he resisted it, but it got rid of the corpse. So now my melee character is going to be able to attack both of them at once to take out any surviving hit points there. We're in a situation where my entire party is taking damage, so this is exactly where I like having that one party heal, but I need to unlock the ability to purchase it in the first place. There we go. So the attack didn't kill him, but he's going to die at the beginning of his next turn. So we're down to just the guy in the front, basically, so I'll just go ahead and target him. I can't really, can I? There we go, a nice crit. And the crit gives us those white numbers, which means that we're losing stress. And that's very important. And a very important part of stress management in general is actually crit management. Really, he still hasn't had a turn, huh? Alright, well. I was gonna be all smug here and wait for him to die of his damage over time.
They can be beaten.
I was excited. Oh, we have a leopard. We're exclusively getting equipment for characters we don't have, unfortunately. So I was hoping to just watch that guy die, basically, but it didn't work out that way. So, this is an idol. Usually a good thing. It might actually this particular piece of environment might be exclusively a good thing, actually. I don't remember its exact result. It's either a buff or it's a stress reduction. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and let Ballard Boxer do it. Oopsie. Out of position a little bit. Alright. Holy Fountain, Ornate Fountain of the Holy Purpose. Can we use holy water on these? Divine Benefit. Boom. Healed. So they just got healed for hit points, and they lost 20 stress. I specifically used the holy water on this object. You could use it without the holy water, but using certain items on the correct pieces of the environment, either avoids bad effects or amplifies the good effects in many cases. There's also specific things you could do that would make things much, much worse. And that would be bad news. So once I explore one more room, we should be free to go, but I'll likely push on to the last room for the sake of seeing what treasure we can get. At any point, you can just hit abandon quest and run out of here, and you fail your quest, but your party survives, and that's good. Unfortunately, I think you also gain stress for failing. Look at that, we have a lot of food now. Well, we can't go camping, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use that food. There we go. Look at my healed up party. He can stay at less than max for now. So you can consume food to heal your party members. Relatively intuitive, but when this is only a short run, here we go. Here's why you don't want to just use up all your food. Sooner or later, your party gets hungry, and you have to consume one food per character, plus or minus any weird modifiers on their characters. And if you don't have the food to do so, you gain stress, and it's a really bad way of getting stress. You can also use food while camping during medium and long runs, which is also part of how you heal effectively. Alright, so I'm going to continue adventuring, because as has been revealed, there's a treasure room down here. Oh, but oh cool, we have a shovel, cool. There's a little blue obstacle down here that means that there's a wall we have to use a shovel to get past, and I'd prefer not to do it by hand, so I'm happy to see we have an extra shovel.
Holds much worse than mere trickery.
Boop.
And boogeymen.
Alright, last room, and we're totally in the dark, so we're very likely to be ambushed and rearranged. Hopefully the loot's worth it. Hello. Oh, 2 new enemies. Alright, so now we're facing some of the worst types of undead that are available this early on. The Bone Defender is straightforward enough, it's just harder to kill than some of these characters. It has a protection stat of 25%, which I believe means it specifically reduces damage incoming by 25%. I don't think any of our characters actually have protection statuses at this point in the game. Whereas Prot, yeah, 0% on that character. The Crusader might have some. The Man-at-Arms tends to get some, at least from its effects and stuff. And the Bone Courier is just annoying. They spam a lot of they spam a lot of stressful attacks, like that one cultist that we were dealing with earlier. But the Courier, in my experience in particular, has a frustrating chance of avoiding attacks altogether. An AoE to soften up the party. Seems like a reasonable thing to do here. So, this is the last fight of the game, so I don't see a lot of reason to be healing. Instead, it makes sense to work on these enemies. Especially if I can get a stun in there. Oh, nope, that was a wasted move. 0 damage and 0 stun, unfortunately. But hey, it's our first group of 4, I believe. And these characters are not very resistant to Blight, so I'm going to throw in a Blight there. And they both got afflicted. That's a big deal. It's only 1 damage up front, but that was actually... It was 1 damage each, I believe, and then 4 damage of Blight, so... Even if we only count 1 turn of the damage over time, that's 10 damage from 1 attack, which is not bad. Then by the time we get to the next turn, it'll be 18 damage. So that'll stack up really quickly, actually. I have my strong anti-undead attack. And I could either go for the Bone... I could go for the Bone Defender. Or I could go for the Soldier. I should probably reduce the incoming attacks we have coming towards us. And the Bone Soldier was pretty much a guaranteed kill. Oh, and our Crusader's been stunned. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and stack another Plague Grenade. So now the Blight's twice as strong. They're taking 8 damage per turn. They don't really have very many hit points in the first place, so they're pretty much... This character is dead at the beginning of the next turn. This one will be down to 1 hit point. I think our top priority is to deal with this guy now. Unfortunately, he put me in an awkward position where I'm not particularly good at fighting the guy up front with this character, but I'll give it a shot. Could have had a lucky crit or something.
Gently. This is how a life is taken.
Alright, what's his stun chance? 25% resistance? So it's a most likely successful attack. What's my judgment damage, though? We could potentially just kill him. There it goes. I got the lucky roll. I like they actually made a unique corpse sprite for each character, it looks like. A complaint I heard early on was that they didn't have that, actually. They had different sprites for every enemy, basically. I mean, they only had one sprite for all the corpses, and it did not look good. Here we go. So we got more money.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
So we got more money for our troubles. Oh, a decent amount of upgrade items for the base in particular. We got more jade and so on. Jade and onyx and items like this that just say they have a gold value. They're basically gold, but they're kind of more awkward in their usage of inventory space. So it's more clutter for your inventory, but it's automatically converted to gold if you take it with you into the end of the mission. Not a big deal in short missions, but in longer missions we're more likely to run out of space, and we have to deal with this very limited screen for inventory a lot. So we took some damage over the course of that fight, but it's not really a big deal because damage is just forgiven after the fight. The bigger concern is that 2 of our characters are about halfway up on stress, and that's not great news. But I'll honestly just settle for not losing characters in our first run. Like I said before, low-level characters with low hit points and no armor, much more likely to just straight up die. If you have a named character in this session already and you make it to like level 3, for example, you're much less likely to die in the next few missions than you are in the very first few. Once you're a more established character, at that point you're only likely to die during boss fights. So it looks like all of our right. In a patch they made it so that your supplies that you buy are sold back to the store. So all the anti-venom and food and keys that we had in our inventory became money, basically. It did not used to do that. It used to be completely thrown away goods, so you had to be very careful how much you bought. You still have to, because I'm sure it's only a percentage of the money is returned, but it's something. And then there's our jade and our onyx and so on. So we got a lot of heirlooms. We should be able to upgrade the base. Alright, so we get some characters level up. We get to click on these to get a potential new stat, good or bad. Stress faster. Minus 100%. Oh, stress faster. He's not a stress faster, he's a stress faster. As in, he fasts when he's stressed out. Apparently, Miller will not consume food at a high stress level, meaning that when we get hungry, it's actually only going to cost 3 instead of 4 to feed the party, because they won't eat if they're stressed out. Ulf. Mankind Hater, bonus damage and reduced stress when dealing with humans. Good news. A lot of humans in this game. And Ballard became bloodthirsty. It's more of a personality quirk. They're fascinated with injury, wounds, and torture. Sometimes it just amounts to weird, quirky comments throughout the game, but sometimes it'll mean that they'll interact with environment objects when we don't want them to, and they might get themselves stuck in a trap. So it's not great news. It's something you want to get removed, but it's expensive to remove traits, and there are much worse ones to worry about. So it's the type of trait you're likely to let a character have for a long time, to the point where it just becomes part of their personality in a way.
The degeneracy of the hamlet is nothing, I fear, when compared to the condition of surrounding acres.
Alright, they're expanding us. So we have 2 more characters that are level 1 now, and we've unlocked the Tavern and the Abbey. So they're giving us stress reduction abilities. So that we still don't have the ability to use the Sanitarium. Sanitarium is how you remove negative traits. The Survivalist teaches you camping skills, which is something we'll get into later. The Guild gives you... the Guild lets you upgrade your skills, like the attacks we're using, or learn other ones that are available to that class, because there's about twice as many available to the class as we're able to take into combat at once, in a sort of Guild Wars 1 sort of way. And the Blacksmith gives you upgraded weapons and armor, but you only get 1 upgrade of each per level that your character increases. So same thing goes with the guild upgrades. So you can upgrade your skills and items, but you still have to level up the character to be able to use such things. So it goes both ways. Then the Nomad Wagon's how you buy trinkets, which are these items we have over here, which none of my characters can really use. Oh, we got this one, Debuff Charm. So this makes your character 20% more resistant to debuffs, but it makes them more likely to get hit by attacks. So like always, there's ups and downs. As we get more established, the game will become easier. More upgraded stuff, more trinkets in our supply, and we'll be better off. But for now, it's anyone's guess who's going to live and who's going to die. So here's the Abbey and Tavern.
Fresh kegs, cards, and curtained rooms promise solace to the weary and broken alike.
Basically, you can use one of these 3 rooms, the bar, the gambling hall, or the brothel, which have different quirks to them, to basically pay for certain characters. Yeah, this person won't do it because they're a holy character, but Shadow Scythe would definitely be out there. He can't see Shadow Scythe can't go to the gambling hall because as we've established, they're a known cheat, so they're not allowed to gamble. So there's little quirks here and there about who's allowed to use what rooms, but basically you put them in this room and you pay money for their stay because it costs money to do whichever role, and they have to sit out the next mission you go on. But while they're sitting out the next mission, they're going to be reducing in stress. So much like XCOM with the injury system, it encourages you to have a larger pool of characters you're cycling through all the time, which is good because as a side effect it means that you're more prepared if anyone straight up dies, because you'll have all these backup characters because you were cycling them in and out. And the upgrades here basically just increase how much you get healed for stress, and also certain ranks along the way will also increase how many rooms there are. Those little boards will go away. The tavern is basically identical. It just has different context, so certain religious characters are more likely to go here, and certain, vagabond type characters are more likely to go here.
The cobwebs have been dusted, the pews set straight. The Abbey calls to the faithful.
By the way, if you're getting annoyed by the ongoing tutorial speak I'm giving, I'll be done with it after an episode or so, and I might discuss camping a bit. I want to introduce people to this that are just now starting with this series because it's the 1.0 version of the game finally. But yeah, I am repeating stuff that you guys already know if you already played this game before or watched the previous 2 seasons. And so this functions the same way. It's a meditation, prayer, and flagellation. Some characters will only flagellate in order to recover. They just get obsessed with whipping themselves for that reason. And there's clear reason to increase the number of rooms you have here because certain characters are taking up certain spots. If you have people that will only recover stress in one specific room, and that room's taken, then they can't recover stress. And that could be taken by other characters or the goddamn caretaker who seems to be always busy doing something. This caretaker is always in one of the 6 rooms in one of the 2 bases, and will just straight up obstruct your ability to use certain facilities. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to cut the first episode here, so thanks for watching like always, and I'll see you guys next time.